Well, on the list of movies that didn't need sequels, I would have to say Cheaper by the Dozen is probably right near the top. But a sequel it did get because the first movie was fairly popular, and so now we get Cheaper by the Dozen 2 making its Blu-ray debut. As far as unnecessary sequels that didn't need to be on Blu-ray, I would say Cheaper by the Dozen 2 is also pretty high at the top of that list, but Fox seems to have disagreed with me, and so here we have it. Now, Cheaper by the Dozen 2 is not a terrible movie. It's not the worst of the worst, but it's just I think I summed it up best when I called it unnecessary. It's not that funny. The first movie was kind of cute and a little bit clever in that it was a little different from most of the family movies we'd seen at that point. But by this time, we're really just kind of rehashing the jokes and gags from the first film, except, of course, that it takes place in a summer camp and there's a competing gigantic family, which, of course, means it's supposed to be twice as funny. Unfortunately, it's just twice as frantic. Adding Eugene Levy to the mix is never a bad thing, but overall, the movie never really goes anywhere all that interesting. I imagine that kids will like it. My own kids are too young to watch this kind of movie, but if your kids are kind of in that 5 to 6 to tween age, they might find all the wacky hijinks funny, but I think parents will mostly roll their eyes and wish they had just watched the first movie again instead. Ultimately, this is just your average family comedy that never really works for the older members of the family. In terms of the Blu-ray, you do get a upgraded picture and sound quality from your DVD release of the movie. Picture quality is pretty good. You know, it's a comedy, so it's bright and sparkly, and the colors really pop off the screen, and image clarity is pretty good. But overall, this is really nothing that you haven't seen before. It's really just your general standard Blu-ray upgrade. You do also get a DTS 5.1 HD master audio surround track, which does a pretty good job of bringing the film to life. You know, it's a fairly active film, even though it's a comedy. Comedies don't always have the most exciting surround soundtracks, but this one, with the number of kids in the movie, which I think is something around 400, and the fact that it's an outdoor kind of camp setting, there's a lot of things falling and crashing and water splashing and just all sorts of crazy noises happening. The speakers do get a pretty good workout here, and it's not the most subtle surround track you'll ever hear, but the rear channels do kick in when they're needed, which actually turns out to be quite often in this film, so that's not too bad. In terms of special features, there's an audio commentary by director Adam Shankman, who's, of course, getting a lot of notice lately for the fact that he's going to be producing the Oscar show in a couple of months. You also get a Fox Movie Channel Presents casting session and 2 featurettes called Camp Chaos and a comedic trio. All of this is pretty standard extra feature fare, but it's always better to have something rather than nothing. So if you're looking for a good family comedy for your family to watch, I'd say watch Cheaper by the Dozen. If, however, you happen to be looking for a family double feature, then I guess you could do worse than renting or buying both Cheaper by the Dozen and Cheaper by the Dozen 2, and at least now you can do that on Blu-ray.